Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's look is Valentine's Day theme. It's more of like sultry, sexy, like a smoky look. So first we're going to grab this Born This Way concealer in the color Warm Sand. And I'm going to use that to prime my eyelids and scope out my brows. And with that, I'm going to be using a flat brush. Any brush you can find, beauty store, drugstore, whichever one will work to scope out your brows. Then we're going to end with a fluffier brush. It's like a stiffer brush, but smaller. I got this from BH Cosmetics. And we're just going to buff all that concealer out. Then I'm going to take the Airspun in Honey Beige. And I'm going to use that with a fluffy, tapered brush from Morphe to set my concealer in place so that it'll be easy for me to blend out shadows. Moving on to shadows, we're going to use the James Charles palette. We're going to go in with this gray tone, undertone brown shade, and we're just going to use a tapered blending brush to pack that on in our crease, in our outer V area. And then we're just going to blend and buff that out as we go. Then we're going to go in with these two lighter brown shades, and we're just going to buff out the first color we applied. We're going to do circular motions and back and forth motions to create that winged out effect. You just keep blending until you get it the smokiness you would like. Then we're going to go back in with that Born This Way concealer and the same flat brush to just sculpt out a half cut crease. We're not doing a full cut crease. And this is only so that the next color that you will apply will be more pigmented and vibrant on your eye. Going back in with that gray tone brown, I'm just touching up the edges of where I put that color because it got a little washed out by adding the concealer. Alright, then we're going to get that red shade and we're just going to pack that onto our lid where we place the concealer. Like I said before, this will provide the color to show more on women of color, and so it can be more vibrant and pigmented. Again, touching up that outer V color because it can get washed out when you add more shadows, which is normal. So we're just going to touch it up with the same little stiffer brush, small blending brush that we used before. And, just clean up everything. Next, I'm going with that purple shade. I'm just going to add it in between the brown shade and the red shade just to give it that berry look. Make it more sultry and less what I want to say, like vampire-y look. I'm not sure. I just wanted to add that pop of color to it. Next, I'm going in with the NYX ink liner. I'm not very good at liner, so you won't see me finish putting it on. I'm going to do the rest off camera. But it's a very good liner. It's super black. You can get it at any drugstore. It's super affordable. But yeah. Next, I'm going in with the e.l.f. Hydrating Primer. I got this from Walmart. You can get it from any drugstore. And I like to use hydrating products because I have dry skin, and I like to keep my skin moisturized under all the makeup. Going in with my Fenty Beauty Hydrating Foundation. I'm in the color 410. I do 2 pumps on my hand, and then I apply that with my fingers. And then after, I just buff it out with my Morphe foundation brush. Yes, we're going back in with the Born This Way concealer. I'm just using it to highlight the rest of my face. That's under my eyes, the bridge of my nose, my cupid's bow, my chin, and my forehead. And then after I apply my contour, we're going to blend that out with a beauty sponge. Like I said before, I do my contour before blending my concealer. So I'm going to go in with an e.l.f. foundation in the color Nutmeg. And I'm going to use a tiny stippling brush to add that to my cheekbones, my forehead, my temples, and a little bit of bridge of my nose going into my brows. And I'm just adding that foundation color as my contour shade to the point where I want to look sculpted. Then to blend that out, I'm going to use this e.l.f. contour brush I got from Walmart just to, blend everything seamlessly. Blending your concealer after blending your contour is a technique that I've learned. If you let your concealer sit in your skin, it builds more coverage, which means that's less product for your sponge to pick up. After blending, we're going to set everything with our Airspun Baking Powder, and we're going to use that same fluffy tapered brush we used in the beginning for our lids. And we're just going to pack that on. We're not going to bake. We're just packing it into the skin. And this is optional. For my nose, I used a flatter brush to add the baking powder to my nose, but this is optional. You don't have to do that. Next, I'm going to set my contour, and I'm going to use the Too Faced face powder in the color chocolate, and I'm using that on an angled brush by Morphe, and I'm just patting that in, then blending it out, and I'm adding that to my cheekbones and my temples. I'm also going to add a little bit on this tinier brush to set the contour around my nose. Back to the eyes, I'm going to use this drugstore white eyeliner just to brighten up the eyes a little bit because I do have darker colors on my lids. And then we're going to hop right back in, and we're going to take the same colors we used for our crease, and we're going to put that on a tiny flat brush to put those shadows in my lower lash line. I can't talk, y'all, but that's what I'm doing right now. And then we're going to take the blending brush and we're going to blend it out. Moving on to blush, I'm going to take this e.l.f. blush palette with this Real Techniques fluffy brush, and I'm just going to apply that to the apples of my cheeks. Then I'm going to take the Crayon Case Contoursition notebook, and I'm going to take the colors Ross and Raven on this angle brush from BH Cosmetics, and I'm just going to wipe away a little bit of the baking powder and just to blend everything together. Time for brows. I'm going to go in with this e.l.f. clear brow gel to brush up my brow hairs and get it ready for the pomade that I'm going to use. Going in with the NYX brow pomade in the color dark brown. I have a love and hate relationship with this product because it's a little bit hard to get out of this tube, but once you wet it, it's easy to apply to the brows. Next, I'm going to set my face with the e.l.f. Plush Glow Dewy Mist. It's mixed with coconut and argan oil. And I go crazy on the setting spray. And then I'll just dab that spray in with a beauty sponge. Now I apply these lashes off camera because it takes me all day, but I got these from a drugstore. And then I'm gonna go in with some mascara by Almay, and I'm just gonna create this like doll effect. So it's okay if you get messy, because in the end, it's gonna give you that doll effect. For highlighter, I'm going in with the Fenty Beauty Killawatt Duo, and I'm using the color Hustler Baby, and I'm just going to pat that in on my cheeks and my bridge of my nose, my cupid's bow, etc. with this fluffy brush from Real Techniques, and I got this from a drugstore. Lastly, I applied the e.l.f. liquid lipstick in red Vixen. I used the lip liner from a drugstore before I applied the lipstick, but that's the final look, and of course I added my infamous mold. But thank you guys for watching, and hopefully you subscribe to my channel for updates and new videos.